I want you to picture this. You have applied for your Navy Federal business line of credit. You're all confident. You actually fill out all the form correctly, and you are so confident. And guess what? You get to the final decision, and you realize that your ass got denied. In other words, they rejected your application. Well, you might want to watch this show, because here are 5 mistakes you must stop making if you want fast approval on your Navy Federal business line of credit. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the Awesome Sweet Kiwi Show. How are you today? I hope you are doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous, if you were to ask me. If you are doing as great as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka, and let's roll. In today's conversation, I'm talking to you about Navy Federal business line of credit, 5 mistakes you must stop making if you want fast approval. Okay, let me first give you an overview. So what are we talking about when we talk about a Navy Fed business line of credit? What is the product itself? Well, this is a product that you can use for unexpected expenses, working capital. It totally depends on you. You can use the cash for operating expenses, cash flow, or payroll, inventory, and whatnot. Okay, and what we love about Navy Federal business line of credit is that they're very flexible. Okay, and they're not asking you to pay the money back in a lump sum, which is something you would do when it came to a business loan. But with a business line of credit, you are actually paying. So when you tap into the cash, you repay it, and the cash replenishes itself. Okay, so what are the highlights here? You can use this revolving line of credit for operational purposes, and the cool thing is the amount starts at $35,000. Think about it. Okay, and they want to make sure the term length matches your borrower needs. You are the borrower. Okay, the only thing you have to remember is that this business line of credit from Navy Fed is secured, so you're going to have to pledge some assets to actually to secure the business line of credit. Now, what do you want to use this line of credit for? Well, this is great for established businesses. Okay, if you want to bridge some cash flow gaps, this is kind of cool. We're talking about gaps that are between accounts receivable and accounts payable. So customers paying you and you paying your vendors. Okay, and it's great for business growth. It's great for unexpected expenses. I've said this before, and other operational purposes. Very good. So to apply for this business line of credit, you will need a completed and signed business loan application, business tax returns under existing ownership. We're talking about the most recent 2 years or 3 years, depending on the states you're applying from. You might have to write a business plan, personal tax returns for all owners, guarantors. We're talking about the most 2 recent years or 3 years. Okay, financial statements. Okay, you might have to provide also a personal financial statement for all owners, guarantors, proof of collateral. I said this before, this is a secured business line of credit, and additional documentation may be required, a personal guarantee and a personal credit check. So they will do a hard pull on you personally. So the first mistake you need to actually avoid is not having appropriate collateral. This is important. So you really need to understand what we talk about here. So collateral means that you are pledging an asset to secure a business loan or business line of credit. In this case, the thing here is that you need to have appropriate collateral to make sure the Navy Fed approves your application. So let's say you are seeking a business line of credit for $50,000. Make sure that you have the proper collateral. I'm talking, what is collateral? Collateral is anything of value, really, that you can actually pledge, right? We're talking about cash. I mean, cash is just just a quintessential value item. You can also pledge equipment. You can pledge business inventory. You can pledge a real property. You can also pledge your future earnings as collateral, right? We're talking about accounts receivable, for example. Accounts receivable actually can be pledged as collateral. Let's say if your firm gets a big purchase order from an established multinational, chances are you're going to get paid, right? So you have certainty on that front. upfront that you will receive your cash at some point, whether it is a net 30 or net 45 or net 60 or whatnot. You will get paid ultimately, right? But in the meantime, you got to survive. Think about it. Because you keep running, you keep hustling, right? You gotta survive. You gotta have some cash to actually to actually run your company. That's why you need a product like a Navy Fed business line of credit. You can also use, I've said this before, cash savings or deposits as collateral. Actually, that's what Navy Fed prefers. Cash is always king, right? We're talking about, and you can have also what we call marketable securities, right? So when I talk about cash, first, cash encompasses the actual cash that you have, but also things like certificates of deposits, share certificates. We are speaking about MMAs, money market accounts, right? Or one thing I want to say is I want to also talk about marketable securities. I'm speaking about stocks. I'm speaking about IRAs. I'm speaking about the corporate bonds, anything of value that is traded on. IRAs are not traded on the stock market, by the way. Sorry, I just want to specify that. But IRAs are not, and we're talking about stocks, bonds, treasuries, right? Those can be sold quickly, so you can actually satisfy the business line of credit. Pay attention to the loss of assets, because taking a loan or a line of credit using assets as collateral presents the risks of losing the assets if you default on the business line of credit or loan. Therefore, it's important really to discuss the risk of using certain assets as collateral before you pledge them. Very important. The second mistake that you make that actually is not good for you is not preparing proper financial statements. You know, the funny thing is people think about, well, you know, I've been a member of NFCU for several years. They know my ass, you know, so if I apply, they actually going to approve me. No way, Jose. No, this doesn't work that way. You got to have proper financial statements. And I'm talking about the main four financial statements: balance sheet, income statements, cash flow statements, statement of retained earnings, aka statement of owner's equity. It's important to actually show Navy Fed that you are legit, that you are serious, that your financial statements are complete. See, that's important. When we talk about financial statements, we are speaking about a complete set of financial statements, okay? Balance sheet. In case you don't know it, balance sheet, that's where you put your assets, liabilities, and shareholders' equity. In other words, the money that you put in the business, okay? When we talk about income statements, this is P&L, right? This is a profit and loss. So it shows revenue from selling products or services, expenses to generate the revenue and manage your business, and net income, okay, that remains after your expenses. You also got to talk about your cash flow statement. This is where you want to talk about cash flow from operating activities, cash flow from financing activities, and cash flow from investing activities. You also want to talk about your statement of retained earnings, which shows basically the cumulative earnings of the business after any dividends or distribution to shareholders or owners, okay? And in some cases, Navy Fed might want to see the disclosures to the financial statements, and some people call them notes to the financial statements, okay? This basically breaks down the assumption that you made in preparing those financial statements. This is important because Navy Fed wants to make sure that you are showing them realistic numbers. Realistic, okay? And how do you prove that those numbers are realistic? By judging by evaluating the notes, the disclosures to the financial statement. Sometimes they call them the accompanying notes to the financial statements, okay? And so when we talk about the types of financial statements, it's really diverse. Actually, you have the main four that US GAAP says, but also you might have some different categorization here. You have internally prepared financial statements. You have notice to rater. Okay, you have audited financial statements, and you have review engagement. Depending on what Navy Fed is asking you, just make sure you give them the right financial statements. The third reason why you might be disapproved, you might be rejected, is basically if you don't have a legit and compliant business. Boss, I'm talking to you, and I want you to listen right now. This is the time when you want to listen. What is a legitimate business? Well, it's a business that is compliant with all regulations, okay? I'm talking about federal regulations, state regulations, and local regulations. You have to think about it because Navy Fed is trying to cover their ass here. They're trying to mitigate risk. So when they lend you money, they want to make sure that you are on top of your game when it comes to compliance at the federal level. Grandpa, are you there? Grandma, are you there? Father, Dad, I'm listening to you. Are you listening to me? Mom, are you there? This is important for you. If you have a business and you are seeking a business line of credit from Navy Fed, you want to show a legit business, okay? I'm talking about complying with the tax code business regulations, employment and labor laws, in some cases, advertising, okay? Environmental regulations, privacy, state licensing. I'm talking about licenses and permits. In some cases, if you are in an industry that is federally regulated, you want to have the proper federal licenses and permits. It's important. And beyond that, when we talk about legit business, we are speaking about basic documents that constitute the foundation of your business. Okay, I'm speaking about having your EIN, okay? If you are telling me you are a business, you better have your EIN. You better have your certificate of good standing. In other words, I want to have a paperwork. I want to have paperwork from the states that you are in good standing. You want to have a registered agent, okay? And you also want to have, let's say, a business bank account with Navy Fed, preferably, because this is where you're trying to get some business line of credit from, right? Make sure that you have the proper business accounting processes set up. This is something people don't pay attention to a lot. But hey, listen, if you just running a business and your accounting is like really lethargic, or your accounting is it's just not really very solid, this is bad. Boss, I'm talking to you, and cuz I'm talking to you, and this is important. So you want to rectify that thing. If you have some issues on that front, you want to rectify, making sure you have proper business accounting processes, okay? And also we have to talk about having things like articles of incorporation if you are a corporation, or articles of organization if you're an LP, LLC, and so on and so forth. Really important. The fourth mistakes that you make sometimes, and that actually makes you denied, is tax returns. Oh yeah. Not filing your tax returns in the last 2 recent years could be problematic to your business line of credit application with Navy Federal. Why? Because they require that. They require tax returns for the last 2 to 3 years, okay? And this is important to actually take care of that. And when we talk about tax returns here, we are speaking about tax returns at the personal level, but also at the business level, okay? So you got to think about this duality as you apply for Navy Federal, okay? So let's first talk about business tax returns. Your business, if it is established, must file every year a tax return, okay? This could be a 1065 or an 1120S or 1120, depending on the legal structure you chose while filing the paperwork, okay? And you want to do this because you want to actually avoid penalties and prosecution. You want to have your tax returns because you want to apply for loans, business loans, and business lines of credit. You want to carry forward losses. Okay, this is something we talk a lot about on our tax returns series. You want to carry forward losses because you can't claim all your business losses on a single year. There are limitations to that, okay? You want to claim depreciation by filing returns. You want to win government tenders, okay? So basically, there are many benefits here. So you want to have that at the business level. Now let's talk about the personal level. There are a lot of benefits for filing personal taxes too, right? You want to avoid added interest and penalties. You want to avoid losing future refunds because part of any refund is first used to pay any back taxes owed. And you want to safeguard your credit because if the IRS files a tax lien against you as a taxpayer, this could affect your credit score and make it harder to get a loan, okay? So this is important. And here are some things you want to know. Two penalties may apply. One penalty for filing late and the other for paying late. Okay, and a late filing penalty, you have late payment penalty, combined penalty per month. So this is why you want to file. You want to file on time all the time. So if you have a gap in your tax filing strategy, you cannot get a business line of credit from Navy Fed. They want you to pay your taxes. They want you to file your taxes for the last 2 years that immediately precede the business line of credit application. And again, I'm talking about at the business level, but also at the personal level. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another section of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. I'm actually talking to you about the Navy Federal Business Line of Credit, and I'm speaking about 5 mistakes you must stop making if you want fast approval, okay? Mistake number 5. We are speaking now about NFCU banking. So not reinforcing your Navy Fed banking relationship at the personal and business levels is really, really, really detrimental for you. You know, the funny thing is I just laugh all the time because some people actually, they just watch our shows and they just write some nasty comments on our YouTube, below our YouTube video, and they talk about, well, what are you saying here? You have no idea what you're talking about. You know, we're speaking about credit and you were telling me about banking. Hey, listen, hey. When we talk about business banking and we talk about business credit, those two elements are correlated because no bank is going to lend you if you don't have a strong relationship with them. That's just what it is. Okay. Don't you? And we've been members of the top 5 military credit unions in the United States for the last 20 years, 30 years rather. Okay. 30 years, even before you were born. Because I'm talking to you, son. I'm talking to you. So we know exactly what we're talking about. A relationship counts. It counts a lot when it comes to credit decisions. Okay. Even if you have bad credit, but you have a strong relationship with the bank, you'll get the credit you need. So you want to reinforce your NFCU banking relationship. When I'm talking about your relationship, I'm speaking about making sure that you have enough products with them. I'm not talking about credit products. I'm talking about deposit accounts. Okay. I'm speaking about, so that's the whole thing about having the right banking experience with Navy Federal, right? The right banking experience. And you want to have this at the personal level, but also at the business level. We're speaking about having a checking account or business checking, savings account or business saving, CD, a certificate of deposits, MMAs, IRAs, share certificates. Anything you can do to reinforce, anything you can do to buttress that relationship over time, you definitely want to do that, because the more interaction points you have with them, the better for your business line of credit application. Very, very, very important. Do not underestimate that. Okay. And again, we have accompanied hundreds, if not thousands of clients here at the personal and business levels, and we've seen that this relationship with NFCU or PenFed or other credit unions and banks in general does work. Here is a winner strategy for you before we close today's conversation. So I spoke to you about avoiding the top 5 mistakes. Okay. I also gave you an overview of the business line of credit. Here I'm sharing with you a winner strategy. In other words, a strategy that works. We have used it time and again over the last 25 to 30 years, and we have used it successfully, okay? And so the first thing you need to do, if you want to get a business line of credit from Navy Federal, you need to decide how much funding you need. It's really important because they are telling you that their business line of credit starts at $35,000. So how much do you really need, boss? Do you have a clear idea of how much you need? Because you need to have a clear idea of how much you need before you even get into the application process, okay? And check your eligibility, because there are several factors that Navy Fed may consider, okay? For example, your credit history, your business revenue, okay? Your time in business, those are important elements. So you want to make sure that you qualify. If you don't qualify, research and compare lenders. In other words, you want to get out of Navy Federal and you want to actually target other financial institutions, okay, banks, credit unions. You have BECU, for instance. You have Andrews, okay. You have service credit unions. You have NASA, okay. And also consider online lenders. When we talk about business line of credit, Blue Vine is a great candidate. Lendio is a great marketplace for a business line of credit. So I'm sharing with you here the winner strategy you need to put in place. You want to gather required documentation, right? I've said this right off the bat. You want to think about your personal and business tax returns, business licenses and permits, articles of incorporation or organization, personal and business bank statements, profit and loss statements, financial statements in general, right? A business plan. And you have to think about that. And so once you have all these things, don't forget to submit your application. You really want to submit your application actually at a Navy Federal branch. If you're lucky enough to live in the vicinity of one, if not, they will actually provide you with a secured link where you can upload all the documentation and submit your business line of credit application. Okay, and make sure you actually input information such as your name, your business name, right? Your social security number, the designed line of credit amount, the purpose of that line of credit, your business tax ID, aka your EIN, and your annual revenue. This is not an exhaustive list, but it just kind of gives you a gist of what you need. Thank you so much for your attention, folks. I really appreciate it. In today's conversation, boss, I talked to you about the top 5 mistakes you need to stop making if you want fast approval on your Navy Federal business line of credit. So I gave you an overview of the business line of credit at Navy Fed, and then here are the 5 top mistakes. Collateral. So you want to actually make sure you have the proper collateral. Make sure you have the proper financials, okay? Make sure you have a legit business. Your tax returns might actually be recent. And you want to beef up your relationship, your banking relationship with NFCU. And then I gave you a winner strategy that always works. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate that. I'll see you next time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.